Hi, I'm Daniel.
Hi, I'm DK.
And you're watching Gear 65 episode number 26, the weekly gadget show where we show you a brand new gadget every single week. This week we are taking a look at the Samsung i8910 HD. So this is the i8910 HD. This used to be known as the Omnia HD.
Right.
And I guess they took out the name Omnia to avoid being confused with the Omnia phone, which is a Windows Mobile phone.
Right. So anything that is Omnia from Samsung from now on will only
probably
be Windows Mobile.
Be Windows Mobile. So this is actually running on Series 60 version 5, right? Which is actually the same version of Series 60 that you find on the Nokia 5800 as well as the Nokia N97. So it's a 100% touchscreen phone, let's take a look at some of the hardware. Alright, so over here you have the volume control. Alright, micro SD card slot, which is very good because it's on the outside, you don't have to open up the cover.
Yes.
And nothing on this side, microphone, the camera shutter button. If you notice, the camera shutter button is here, but the volume control button is here. Now the reason,
for zooming.
So when you take pictures, you're actually doing this you do zooming here and then you take.
A bit weird.
It's kind of strange.
Right.
No way. But oh well. Micro USB micro USB port. And Nicole was actually expressing concern about this because this is a port that you open up very often, and
in fact also the headphone jack is also having
headphone jack as well as the micro SD card slot.
When will it fall off?
Yeah, this thing might break off, so that is one concern. It does feel a little bit flimsy and soft. This is the lock button, which you find in Samsung phones. I have a feeling that they're putting in Series 60 version 5 as well, right? The N97 has a lock button as well. So these are the speakers, not too impressive, obviously, and the headphone jack. I tell you, the headphone jack is the one that I always get afraid of whenever I open because it does feel like 3.5mm, good stuff. But I always get afraid that I will break the thing.
Oh well.
Yeah. Front-facing camera. Okay, this is, I believe, is a proximity sensor. Okay, so you have the buttons over here. The call button, hang up button. This is the menu button. The menu button that you traditionally find on Series 60 phones. This one, this is where it is right now. For this particular phone. So let's talk about some of the strengths that you usually find in a Samsung phone, right? So we can go through them. Well, the first one is design, right? So usually Samsung phones, they have pretty good design. I'm trying to get it to focus. This phone is a bit difficult to focus on too because it's
too glossy.
Very glossy.
And
the phone is glossy everywhere, every single part of the phone.
Yes.
There isn't a single part that isn't glossy. So it is not only is it a fingerprint magnet, it's a grease magnet as well. Yeah, so after you use it for a while,
good.
Yeah, but it does look good. Yeah,
Give and
magnet. Yeah, this design is always a relative thing, but so far I like it. And 8 megapixel camera which can do record HD and LED flash, replaceable battery. Just thought I'd throw that in. So the design is pretty good. Another thing that they're also very good at is of course the camera. So we can actually, I'll just open that and I'll just show you
before that you'll see a beautiful screen.
Oh yes, and the display. The display is really good. This is an OLED display. It's a 3.7 inch. Yeah, it's huge. Compared with the iPhone. Compared with the iPhone's display.
Very good for viewing stuff.
It's like so much bigger so it's a pretty good display. And OLED, the colors are really strong. The blacks are really black, and it's really sharp. And so let's go into the camera, which is this particular one. Okay, there's a reason why this camera is called the i8910 HD, and that's because you can actually record video in HD as well.
Is it the first phone that does HD recording? It
probably is the first phone. So as you can see here, the highest resolution is at 1280 by 720.
Right,
so you can actually
impressive.
It's pretty cool. And if you take a look, wow, the display is really good for doing pictures. And let me just show you a sample of the HD video. So I'm going to start recording now, and I'm going to switch to the camera from the Omnia HD. You can see it's like, wow, it's pretty good quality. The thing is that there is no focus during the camera. So if you try and do close-ups, right, you can't focus it. So you can't really do like macros and stuff like that. Yeah. So that was the HD camera. And of course, even their traditional camera, if you notice, right, the user interface is very similar to what you find on the Ultra Touch. The buttons on this side and all that.
Right.
And Samsung has, so far we've been impressed by their cameras, the Ultra Touch with the 8 megapixel camera, and it's pretty good.
I think all the features are there, right, like smart shutter,
face detection, macro shots and all that. It's got the flash and all that. The optical image, the digital image stabilizer, and it's all there, and you can do pretty cool stuff with it, exposure settings.
Okay.
So these are some of the cool stuff. Alright, now let's talk about the part that Samsung so far has been pretty weak in, and it's this user interface.
TouchWiz.
Yeah, TouchWiz itself. I mean, this isn't exactly a 100% TouchWiz phone, but you know, it's still not, they're still not very good at user interfaces. But the thing is, this actually, I feel this is the best in terms of what we played with in terms of user interfaces.
Right.
But the only reason is because they didn't do much to modify Series 60. The only thing that they've really modified heavily, right, is this front part with the standby screen.
Yes.
So what happens? This is the what you call it, the TouchWiz. So you can have widgets and stuff like that. And then they added this row of buttons at the bottom.
Okay.
Shortcuts which you don't normally find in a Series 60 phone. So you have they added this one, messaging, the shortcut button. I don't know why they didn't have this with the Ultra Touch, for example.
Most likely real estate problem.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, but you know, this is a very useful button, a shortcut to
Right.
messaging. Yeah, and then of course the widgets, which I can just show you. They added a lock button here. So which is good lah, I think. So you don't actually move the widgets around too much.
In the past, you need to press and hold to shift them around.
No, don't need. You can just start dragging.
Oh really?
Yeah, you can just start dragging in the past for a normal TouchWiz phone.
Okay.
But with this particular one, right, you actually have to unlock it, which I feel is a good thing lah, right? But the disadvantage is that you can no longer scroll up and down. Yeah, so it's kind of locked here. Okay. And then of course you can actually change add widgets here and there. You can actually have 3 different layouts, right? So this is pretty the good thing lah. Then of course they did something pretty fancy. The most fancy animation that you'll find actually, which is, you know, they did this little 3D animation thing. So if you go over here, you have the photo context, which you also find, but personally I find it pretty useless. But you'll find it in I find it on other TouchWiz phones as well. And of course the menu. This menu is identical for a normal Series 60 phone as well as Series 60 version 5, with the addition of these buttons at the bottom. That's the only difference. So you actually have shortcuts to the telephone, as well as the contacts, right? One thing though is that this is more of a comment for Series 60 version 5 rather than Samsung's TouchWiz, because after this is everything else is all Nokia Series 60 version 5 already.
Right.
For example, normal touchscreen phones, right, you expect to be able to do this. But you can't. You have to do. Actually have to scroll bar. Yeah, and it's the same for the rest of the phone as well.
Yes.
Yeah. So you'll find this the exact same thing on the Nokia N97 as well. So and another thing, of course, is the text input. So because this is you know, at this point, right, I just want to point out that Series 60 version 5 at this point of time is still not very. They still haven't figured out text input. That's why you know, so far I think they still rely very heavily on it's a user interface
not mature enough.
Yeah, that still looks as if it's for designed for something with a physical keyboard. And so, like for example, SMS, right? Whenever you touch it, right, text input, they'll launch an extra application. This is a Nokia thing, Series 60 thing. They launch an extra application for touch input, for keypad. So to me, right, I find it a problem. To me, you might actually get used to it, but for me, I find it like the fact that your flow, you know, you want to do something is kind of disrupted lah. And then so Samsung said, you know, let's do something different, right? We have such a big screen. Why not we actually add a full screen QWERTY keyboard?
And this is the part I hate.
Yeah, so they put a full screen QWERTY keyboard, right? But the problem is that the full screen keyboard is not really. One thing is that they force you to rotate the screen, and then the amount of space you have for text becomes so small. Right. Every time you want to input text, you need to rotate the screen.
If you look carefully, the arrangement of the keys are so wide that it's not comfortable to type with. I have a lot of problems typing.
This is the layout as well.
Yes.
And JKOnTheRun.com, right, they pointed out that because the fact there's no multi-touch, if you type too fast, right, you might have actually problems.
Right.
Yeah.
So in the end, I end up using the number pad for typing. It's much easier actually.
Yep. So that is one thing that they really need to work on, which is text input, which I think is actually a Series 60 version 5 problem.
Right.
So this was the Samsung i8910 HD, formerly known as the Omnia HD. And we forgot to mention this, but this actually has an internal 8GB of memory. Right. So this is an interesting way that Series 60 uses such huge capacities. What they do is that this 8GB memory, right, is actually identified as if it's external card. So you'll see internal phone memory, then you see this thing called mass storage, which is in this case it's 8GB.
But that's what all the Symbian
Series 60 phones Because I think there hasn't been a Series 60 phone, right? Not even like the normal Series 60 phone that had such a huge capacity before.
Other than
N97. So even the N97 treats it the same way as well. Yeah. So you will have 3 devices, right? The phone memory, the mass storage, which is 8GB, and the micro SD card slot.
Right.
Okay. So that's the thing. So overall, right, it's actually pretty good phone. Good phone. The only issue we have, right, is with the touch input, the keyboard. Right, and they took all the good things that with TouchWiz in terms of the widgets and the little menu at the bottom, and the camera, and the screen, and then after that, they took all the experience that some Nokia has had with running a Series 60 version 1, 2, 3, and all the way 5. But of course, at the same time, they brought along that problematic keyboard that they took with the Series 60 version 5.
The worst is that they never include a physical keyboard.
And there's no physical keyboard on this particular phone. So Alright, so that's it for this episode of Gear 65. If you have any more questions you want to ask us, including the price, if you want to find out, we don't know right now, but if you ask us, we'll try and find out for you. Gear65@tech65.org. Our URL is www.tech65.org. Check out all our previous episodes there. So that's it. I'm Daniel.
I'm DK.
And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.